Come on?
Yeah.
Did you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being patient. Thank you for joining us again. We're ready to open the meeting. It is right now 7:22 p.m. Calling this meeting to order. Do we have a quorum of the board?
Yes.
We have 5 here.
5 here, and Scott is online?
Yes, we have 6 out of 7.
6 out of 7.
5 here present and 1 online. We have a quorum. Was the sign posted on time? I believe it was posted September 17th at 11:45.
Yes, it was.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and open. So this meeting is basically for the election of the assessment. So if anybody wants to stand up and say something about it or have any questions about it, we're gonna take a few minutes to do that while they're finishing up counting votes. And same thing for people online. Raise your hand and you will be called upon. Anybody here? Yes, sir.
I haven't been in none of the meetings, so I don't know if you discussed it, but is there an alternative to the cable company, buy out the cable company? Is there really an alternative to it, right? Because I know a lot of, well, I don't, so I don't know if a lot of people do it. I don't use the cable company, I just use the internet. Is there an alternative for that?
It's a good question. So right now, we don't control our cable service. The sole broadband does. So they give us the services that they want to provide us, and we pay whatever they ask us to pay. So to answer your question, no, we don't have a choice.
Can
And
we look into an alternative?
well, we have a contract till 2028 that we cannot break.
I thought we were renewing it.
No. We're buying the contract so that we don't have to pay them the almost $600,000 a year that we're paying them every year for the next 5 years, because they've been raising us 6% now for several years, and it's going to continue for the next 5 years. And we're gonna be paying out a lot of money. So the only options we have is either we pay them the money if the membership agrees, or we continue with the contract for the next 5 years.
So there is no buyout, I mean, there's no clause to get out of this contract.
Yes.
Well, once we
they.
buy it out,
But, besides buying it out, I mean, breaking the service contract, there is no clause in there that says that we can't do it.
unless they're not providing us the service we're paying for, but they are.
If it is there a clause, I know they mentioned that they have a lot of clause of high fees of breaking.
I don't know about your house, but I know the service.
It's terrible. The call spectrum, they can take it for you.
If you're not there 3 times,
In my house, they had to install amplifiers since the signal was very weak.
They recommended that I bought one on my own.
Oh, yes.
Correct.
I have
They're in there already.
upstairs.
The only thing is, like you said, going back to the.
That's good to know. I mean, I would send a complaint to the management, and we could look into it. It's supposed to, my internet works great. I mean, ever since December that they raised the speed, everything's been pretty cool. But, yeah, I hear that certain people have problems with it.
And to your original question, I've heard that a lot. A lot of people don't use cable, they just stream. And right now, our hands are tied, so there's nothing we can do. But if this voting allow us to buy the contract, we might be in the future in a better position to negotiate a contract with Spectrum or another company, and maybe do a survey and see if some people don't want to pay for cable services, and we can say, okay, let's have a package for 300, 400 houses, whatever houses want the service, and those that don't want, maybe don't have to pay. It's something that we can consider. Right now, I think it's tied, so it's something that we might be able to consider if we get to pass this assessment.
And you said 5 to 8 years or 5 years?
5 years, 2028. September of 2028 when the contract expires.
If we buy the contract, how we know it will be high?
Because we will get that evidence before we give them any
So
money.
you need to know the control that you're gonna have with this contract, with this
So just to give you a
If they
perspective,
go high, you have to go high. So
Right.
how we gonna stop these?
correct. So the cable intermediary has told us that they pay $55 per house per month. We pay 94. So just to give you an idea of what the markup is.
So they're charging around $32 extra. per
So
month.
they charge us 94 per house and they pay 55 to Spectrum. The difference is theirs. So it's almost
Well,
twice.
that's what this is about. When we did the numbers, we had a couple of presentations in town halls about it. When we did the numbers, if 6% continues, we will be spending about 3.5 million, 3.6 million over the 5 years. If we buy the contract, we can save at least 1.5 million of that, maybe more. And we can control our services, like you said. If we decide now, if the community doesn't want cable and they want internet only, we could switch to that and it might be cheaper, who knows? But we will be able to control that and work directly with Spectrum to see what they'll allow us to do.
Okay, Mario?
We ready?
Yep.
Anyone?
Anybody else here? Anybody online? No? All right, so I'll hand it over to council.
All right, so in order for the special assessment to pass, we needed 250 votes, 250 yes votes.
So it's 249.
No, it was 249.38, so I rounded up.
Okay.
So it's 250. So we had 218 yes votes submitted online, and we had another 33 yes votes in person, which puts us at 251. And then there were also 11 duplicate yes votes that were turned in after they had voted online. So if those 11 duplicate votes had already voted yes online, it doesn't change our count. But if those 11 votes changed a no to a yes, then we actually have like an 11 vote margin. All right, so between 1 and 12 votes, we have a margin of approval.
So you're saying it passes either way?
Right.
It's just a margin.
What if one of those duplicate votes changed to vote the opposite way? Voted yes
But they
online
didn't.
and no. Yeah.
Well, the proxy was submitted after the online vote, so the proxy would control it. That's why it's working in our favor.
So we wouldn't know for sure if.
The only way to know, because the online company doesn't tell us specifically who voted yes or no, I can't tell whether or not they changed their vote. All I know is that they've already submitted a vote online, and then we've also got a proxy. So,
But you could tell what date they submitted it online.
yes, I do know a date, which is how we verified that the proxies that were submitted in duplicate were valid, because they have a later date than the vote that was submitted online.
Okay.
So like I said, if the person online had voted no, they have now changed to a yes. If they had already voted yes, then it's a neutral change that doesn't affect our
Oh,
number.
because all the duplicate votes are yes. Okay.
Anyway, so the motion carries.
And then how many no?
There were 73, I think, online, and then, I don't know, a dozen or so no's in person. Honestly, I didn't verify the no counts because what we needed to hit was 250 yeses. So I was looking at how many yes votes we hit.
Okay, but that was under
10?
100 mils.
10 here and then how many?
It was like 73.
So 83 in total?
73 online and 10 proxy no's.
83 in total. So it's 251 yes and 83 no.
All right. There it is, guys. So we don't need to do any motion or anything on this? This is done, or what do
We
we
just need to make sure that we put those counts in the meeting minutes. The actual tallies and the record from the online company will obviously become part of the corporate record in case anybody wants to inspect all that stuff. And then the board just needs to decide how that special assessment is going to be implemented and collected.
It's
Okay.
already,
So I thought we had decided
yeah,
that
it's already
before.
done.
At a previous meeting, no?
I mean, I know we had talked about making it due by December 31st.
Yeah, it's already there.
That was 6 months ago, so if you want to,
Another motion?
that's up to you guys.
All
You
right. So
decide.
somebody wants to make a motion for the second assessment to be due on the same date as the first assessment, which is December 31st. So we got a motion from Jose Sanchez. Anybody second?
I second the motion.
Second by Herman Perez. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Scott voted?
Aye.
Good. Passes unanimously.
December 31st, you said?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Should you mention or no? Just in case anyone needs.
Does anybody have questions pertaining to the passing of the special assessment? With all that being said, do you want to make a motion to adjourn this meeting?
All right, anybody, I motion to adjourn this meeting.
I made the motion to adjourn the meeting.
You have to say.
Second it.
Oh,
I made the
you
motion.
did it? Oh, okay, I second the
There you
motion.
go.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, meeting adjourned at 7:32. Thank you.
All righty, now we move on to the second meeting. This is the budget meeting. All right, it is 7:33. I'm going to call the budget meeting to order. We have a quorum of the board present, 6 out of 7 members. And I believe notice was sent via snail mail. You remember what date this was, or do we have an affidavit on that?
We do have an affidavit that's, so that got mailed, so this is the affidavit got mailed to everybody that, was here with their address that we have on file for each single homeowner as per Florida statute.
Thank you. All right, so basically, we have minutes from the last meeting. Has everybody had an opportunity to review the minutes from the August 24th meeting, I'm sorry? Anybody wanting discussion on this meeting minutes? Any amendments to these meeting minutes?
There was one.
Corrections?
The motion to be made from Corey and seconded by Jason at the July 27th.
But that was for the previous meeting.
Sorry.
That was for the previous meeting, yeah, I saw that. Okay. So we need a motion to approve the meeting minutes from August 24th meeting.
Make the motion.
Jose Sanchez makes a motion. Anybody second it?
Second.
Second by Corey Gagnon. All in favor, say aye.
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 Abstain. I wasn't present in the meeting, so I wouldn't know.
Marcel.
Scott?
Scott.
He's in our car. Maybe he's in.
Yeah,
Hi, what's that name? It's the slow internet, I get it.
yeah. Finding the mute button.
All righty. We're gonna open the floor. Any discussion regarding the budget? You guys have both budgets that we were planning to consider today. Basically, we're lucky enough to have the assessment pass, and therefore, the budget that is on the table to approve is the one with the lower amount, keeping our assessments at 160 for single family and common expenses, and 362.54 for the townhouses. Any discussion regarding the budget? Yes, sir.
On your safety, $40,000, what does that cover?
So that will cover any type of security, police presence, anything we need to implement. We're having events, we're having different things. So, there's a lot of things in the works too. But basically it'll be used for anything related to safety that we would need. We don't have a concrete plan yet, but we need that money for something that is currently still being developed.
We're not gonna have safety come down and like do something with this building or the pool or anything?
No, this is for HOA. This is gonna be, we're thinking like a roving patrol or something along those lines,
Just to look at the.
Shouldn't that be the CDD because they're roads?
but they're not
For the
doing it.
houses.
But they're not doing it. So
And that's gonna be looking for the houses, so it's HOA.
the bottom line is there's crime occurring, people complaining, people want to be safer, and the gate in itself is not enough. And we don't have roving patrol.
We have a community with a gate, we don't have a gated community.
Point well taken.
Yes. It's always been that. So, and the gate's been open for the last 4 or 5 months and crime rate has gone up, has it?
Correct. I share your sentiments. But there is a large percentage of owners that want that gate operable.
Seems like a lot of money for just fuel fence.
Yeah, I agree, and, but you gotta look that we're offsetting other costs too. And so it's not really $40,000 because we're taking some money from irrigation also, almost half of it, to put in that.
Well, keep in mind, just because you earmark it for that, doesn't mean you actually have to spend it either.
Oh, no, correct, right?
Correct. Anybody else? Anybody online?
Online, anyone has any question? We're here.
Why are we irrigating on the townhomes? I mean, I don't have it.
It's a good question. So historically in this community, the landscaper has done monthly inspections on every unit in the community, single family and townhomes, irrigation system. Our experience as we've been here a year now is that the previous company wasn't doing it right. The current company's not doing it right. So because there's a lot of money at stake, this was a $45,000 a year negotiation in the past. Everybody's kind of saying they're doing it, submitting a report, but it's always inaccurate and really not really fulfilling what the goal was. So what we have done is we've decided this year to, and this will be coming up in a little while, I'm kind of jumping the gun, we're gonna split the irrigation contract and try to give it to a company that does irrigation and actually knows what they're doing and they're actually gonna do the irrigation inspections. Now, the single family home inspections are very expensive. The townhome inspections aren't that bad, but the single family homes services are very expensive. Almost like 2/3 of the money we're spending, we're going just to single family homes. So what we did is we're gonna scale back because a lot of the single family home owners don't want the irrigation checked by anybody. Some of them put locks on them and they put notes that they don't want to check. But they still pay for the service, right? So you have other people that want it, and then you have other people that are okay with getting it checked, but they don't want it to be set to the appropriate watering because they don't want the water bill to go up. So there's a lot of all these things that happen, in the townhomes, the HOA pays all the water, so it doesn't matter. We do the checks, we fix the irrigation system, we do everything for them. But for the single, go ahead.
Again, I don't have a sprinkler system in some homes.
You should.
Yeah, I'm lucky.
You're saying
It wasn't working out.
What
it's
are you?
3146, right? 44?
31,
The same.
Via Palma?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, okay, so I'm gonna be a Palma too. I've never seen you before, I think.
I try not.
Anyways, there's some irrigation in the front yard
And in the back, too, no?
and in the
Yeah,
back,
some on
And the sides.
Yeah.
on the sides.
And usually you're not gonna see them in the morning.
But
You're gonna see it, yeah.
There's only like
See it
3 or 4
until the
buildings
morning.
on Via Otero that don't have irrigation systems. It looks like the builder forgot to install them, or he paid to have them installed, but they didn't pay. But it's missing irrigation system, and those will be installed shortly.
So if there's irrigation, they're gonna be repaired, because I've never
Yes.
seen them. I've been there 4 years ago, and I've never seen them.
I know we just paid for all
Yeah.
those clocks. We just replaced all the clocks.
Yep.
They dug out all the valves. No,
So
on
the
your
last-
side, I understand that, because you don't have irrigation yet, but it's coming, and we're gonna replace that
Do
grass.
you live on the
She lives in
Biotero?
Via Otero, yeah.
No, but which one? Because Biotero has some,
You live in the newer houses on Via Otero, right?
like at the beginning, like 3101, 3102.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that area doesn't have it.
They're gonna get irrigation now.
And that's something that the builder left.
That's why the grass always dies there. That's why we couldn't understand why, is because they don't have irrigation.
But that's something that only
But it'll be
works.
fixed.
And the landscaping committee can we can go and make sure, check your area and see what is going on and go with the vendor.
Since you guys are good at meeting, you've seen that that palm tree there is a danger to anybody walking by, and it's so dry, it's like years, and I've been complaining about to the previous management company, and nobody did anything about it. But there's a dry palm tree in front of my, right there, and it's dead, it's a danger. There was 2, one of them fell already.
Could you give me your unit number exactly? What is your address?
3144.
3144? Yeah, Palm?
Okay. I have a couple of questions that were emailed to me by a homeowner that I want to cover as well. If anybody here has anything else to say, or? So I have a couple of questions I'm going to read out loud because some of the information I need from the manager because I'm not sure what it is. So we have an item on our budget for 61,100 is the item number, and there's a 60% increase. What item number is that? Is that? Oh, that's office expenses. He puts it in here. So office expenses has gone up because all of the things that we're doing, all these elections cost money. Sending. So we have rules that we didn't create that have to be followed, and our new bylaws that were created by the previous board require that every notice gets mailed and stamped and sent to you guys physically, despite the fact that we have email nowadays. So we're not allowed to just email it. It has to be mailed. And that's not even a Florida statute. It's in our bylaws. So that's why we have to do it. That costs money. So imagine $4.89. I don't know what's postage now, like 70 cents. So imagine that every time we send something in the mail, that we incur that expense. So that's how things are going up. Yes, sir.
What would it take for those bylaws to be changed?
75% of the community has to vote. We're working on it, but we have to rewrite them.
But at least if people show up like they did for the assessment, I think we can reach the 75% because we did like almost 80, 60 something percent.
Not a lot of money each year, but it is kind of a digital age.
I know.
We're not allowed.
And we increased it with that in mind that we're planning to rewrite the CCNRs, we plan to rewrite the bylaws. So all this is going to take a lot of mail outs, a lot of things with the owners getting these elections. Mm-hmm. We have to also send the mail out for the townhome lawsuit for a vote. That's going to require a 75% vote as well. So it's going to be heavy office expenses probably for the next year or two. After that, I'm sure it's going to be normalized. Okay?
Can I slide something into that?
Sure, go for it.
We also do violations, so those also get mailed out, and collection notices for anybody that's doing or is late on their assessments. We send out those notices as well, because we do have to mail them out to the Florida statute.
Yeah, okay, thank you. The other question is that Toho takes care of irrigation at no charge. That's the backflow valves that Toho takes care of for the single family homes only. Townhomes are considered commercial property, believe it or not, and Toho would not cover them. We have to pay for annual inspections on all the townhomes backflow valves, and sometimes they need repairs, we gotta pay that as well. Yes, sir.
The Toho Water, and I've used their service, will come out and inspect your sprinkler controller, make sure it's set for the right days of the week according to your address, and an appropriate amount of time per zone, or whatever area. If you're water in a shaded area or something, you might not only need 10 minutes per zone, whatever, but they'll come out for free.
So that's a good idea, maybe landscaping committee. Maybe I like that you suggested that. Maybe we could have the landscaping committee look into it, and if they provide it, even if it's a single family home, that'll save us half the budget for irrigation.
Yeah, I posted it, people need to call.
They put on the report.
Each people need to call.
My system was off. And then I get a notice from Toho Water, excess use. I was watering every day before dawn, not knowing it. When I was on vacation.
I think I remember, and I think it was a leak also on the back. Yeah, of the house.
I had a red leak in.
Yeah.
The Toho thing is news to me, but we'll look into that. I mean, if that really materializes, I think that's a way out of that situation.
I agree. I called them up, made an appointment, and the lady that does it came out and went through my whole controller.
And they send a new notification.
Settings and that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Tried to turn the sprinklers on and there was no water. She said, well, the valve was turned off. And how the heck does the valve get turned off?
Yeah, some of those, the valves, they get stuck, so you need to replace it. Some of those on the ground, they get stuck, they get damaged.
You got a service there now.
Yeah. They need to clean it. Sometimes you move it, you open manually.
He never knocked on my door or anything. He was supposed to come out the next day. Well, he showed up that afternoon because I went outside a little later and I had a door hanger tag that said, this guy been here and he turned the valve on, everything's cool. At least you can knock on the door.
Yeah, Toho, usually they do that.
I went out my valve box and opened it up, and that valve box was still full of dirt, completely full of dirt. I don't know how he turned the valve on, I don't know how the valve ever got turned off. But it was full of dirt, and she told me, because she looked at it when she was there, checking the controller. He opened up the box, and the whole box was full of dirt, where the contractor, when he put in the topsoil, filled that meter box full of dirt.
Yeah.
He might not have to, yeah.
He was gonna have the guy that she sent out, turn the valve on, clean the dirt out of it.
Yeah.
I find the door hanger, I go out, open it up, it's still full of dirt. He
Yeah.
never cleaned it out, so I cleaned it out.
Yeah, I clean myself too, yeah. They're
And
full.
both valves were on, of course, the water to the house and the water to the irrigation system were on at that point. Now, how it ever got turned off, or how he did anything, when it buried in dirt, I, to this day, don't know how that all worked. But I know Toho will come out and inspect the controller.
Yep.
For proper settings and run through the zones. They won't repair anything.
No, correct.
Or have
Yeah.
to servicing or something like that, they won't repair it, but
Yeah.
they'll do the inspection for free. All you gotta just call and make.
Correct.
Yeah, neither does the irrigation inspection now. The company that's gonna start, none of them will do repairs for single-family homes. They'll do only inspection, and they will provide recommendations on maintenance and recommendations on repairs. And the homeowner's responsible for doing those repairs. If you wanna use them, you can, but you can use anybody you want. You're not obligated to use them.
So, in my mind, that.
But I would definitely look into that, because that would save us a ton of money, because,
25 grand a year could be out the window.
well, we still need to do it for the, in all fairness, we're responsible for the townhomes. So, but half of that money, I think less than half of that money is for single family home, I mean, more for townhomes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thanks for sharing with that. The next question is, something about item 69,800. It went up 400%.
Any inspections?
Safety,
No, annual inspection.
6189.
Oh, it's annual inspection, so that's the townhome section?
Oh, annual inspections.
That's for townhomes?
Yeah.
So that's only for the townhome, sir? So the HOA is responsible for doing annual inspections on all the townhomes' roofs and exteriors. And historically, they have never been done. And now we're trying to get them done, so we need a budget for that. This year, we got away with it because they started the construction defect lawsuit, and we basically got inspections from those engineers, and they're doing a lot of repairs now. So next year, though, the HOA will have to pay for inspections.
And that's probably the same answer then for 69,900 irrigation repairs on the townhome.
Correct.
Went from 0 to 10,000.
Yeah.
Yep.
So before, that's the other thing, before everything was included, I guess, this is why they were charging, all that money was being put into your landscaping bill, you know, kind of
Everybody was
group,
paying.
and everybody was paying for it. So now, you know, what we do with the townhomes is gonna be different now. They are gonna get their inspections, and they're gonna have a certain allowance every month to make repairs. And we won't pay any extra until they exceed those allowances. So we'll talk more details about that later. All right, I think that's it, right? And anything that you see in the townhome section does not impact single-family homeowners at all. This is why the townhomes pay more money, right? We pay 160, we're gonna pay 160, they're gonna pay 364. So they pay for their inspections, for the external landscaping enhancements that they get, the irrigation, repairs, anything like that.
Reserve fund. Yeah, the reserve.
Reserve fund.
Oh, reserve fund. I'm sorry. Yeah, so we have to implement a reserve fund. There was a reserve study done last year about their roofs, and it requires that we collect this money for when things go bad, we can have the money to make the repairs. So, you know, it's something that we have to do. I'm hoping that once the lawsuit is done and we can do all the proper repairs to everything, we can do another reserve study that maybe will show that we don't need as much money, and maybe then the towns can get a break. But until now, we have to collect the money. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question on your topic. How
Sure.
many more years left in the CBD?
I don't know.
No idea.
It's at least the number of years you have left on that note.
For some reason, I think 20, 30 something, but I can't get, I'll talk to you later about that.
And
But it's a while.
more than 10 years? Never, about
I think it might be more than 10 years.
Okay, and my other question is, who is the person or the photos of the homes and sends either the warning or the lien or the
Our
sign.
manager.
That'll be me. How you doing?
You go around and you take photos?
Yes.
Okay. Can I have your email again?
Yeah, give me my card.
Yeah.
I'm getting these notices for people that put papers in their homes, and they're two-story homes, and my home is a one-story, and I don't have papers.
Yeah, I think
And
that's,
so that's happened to me a few times, and then I email.
Okay.
whatever
You can talk to him afterwards.
yeah, I'll definitely
Yeah.
get you all square.
I'd like an email back, like if I know whatever it is that I'm emailing, I'd like an email back saying I apologize, and what I can throw in on your property, you made a mistake.
I'm sorry, can you give me your name?
2925 CS, we can talk about it later.
Yes.
All right. Anything else? Any hands over there?
Landscaping, why went up 30%?
30%? I think we're not, yeah, you're right, 30%. So that's a good question, sir. When we initially were searching for a new landscaper, we bid out 6 different companies. All the companies were over $500,000 a year in landscaping expenses. Blade Runners was the only company that did it for just over $300,000. He did it because he wanted the contract, and we all are aware of that. However, since then, gas has gone up, expenses have gone up, a lot of things have gone up. So he raised it on the basis that, you know, this is what keeps him profitable. This is what makes him, we don't have control over that. That's just his number. We could try to rebid it out, but everybody else is going to be a lot higher. We went that route before. But if anybody knows any landscaping company that can handle our landscape, that's the thing. There's a lot of landscaping companies out there, but very few of them want to take on this level of work, you know, for the reasons that, you know, it's hard to make everybody happy. You know, these guys come out here, and this has been one of the most brutal summers that these guys have worked. I've never heard a landscaper ever complain about the heat, but this year it's been really hot out there, and these guys have been breaking their backs. And even on top of that, there's a lot of complaints about their services and about what they don't do and what they do. So at the end of the day, though, the reason why the increase happens is because his expenses have increased, the company's expenses have increased. But we're still cheaper than we can get with anybody else. But like I said, if any homeowner knows somebody that has a big landscaping company that can handle this type of work, we're more than happy to rebid the contract at any time.
And
All
also
of
we have
our
a 30 days.
I was gonna say that. All of our contracts have 30-day cancellation clauses. So anytime we find somebody, if someone's not doing a good job, 30 days notice, we move on to the next company.
So Mario, just for reference, why don't you remind me what the next closest bid was for landscape?
I don't have it off the top of my head, but it was like 440,000. It was US Lawns was the company that was the next highest from him. It was US Lawns, and they were at 440 something thousand. And I hear a lot of things from other communities that they don't do a good job either. So, you know, and they wouldn't include all the stuff that he includes, like the mulch, that kind of stuff was not even included in that price. This guy's price, you know, well, he breaks it down for the budget because we need to keep track of what we're spending on everything. But even his total price doesn't get even close to what they're charging just for the landscaping basic service.
Mary, where does Jim fall under here?
Where?
Where does the?
That's CDD.
That's CBD. Yeah, it's not on there.
Okay, that's the company, they are doing a great job.
I think they're doing a better job than we've had in a while. I think everybody's grass is looking decent.
Yes.
I think that we still have a lot of room for improvement, though.
Yep.
Yes.
And I tell you, you know, I'm the first to tell you, I call him out. I make sure that he does what we're asking him to do. I mean, we just had a fight about all the trees. I mean, the trees are supposed to be cut to a certain length, and we had trees dangling. And I said, if you don't take care of this the way you're supposed to, we might have to find somebody else to do the tree work. And he went and did it, you know, but.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, we have landscaping committees, so the landscaping committee meet with him every 2 weeks to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to. If they don't do it, we keep a record, so management knows, so management, they can send a letter officially, so then we keep track of that.
They respond very quick with the work landscaping work order.
Mhm.
And before that, I have been waiting for landscaping for 3 years without action, and with this company, finally, the landscaping.
By the way, if any homeowner wants to join the landscaping committee, we have space for anybody. Somebody else had a hand up? You had your hand up? All right. Okay.
Did he, I think he.
Who?
No?
No.
Oh,
You good?
Single family.
Everybody? Okay. Board, anybody else? Nobody online? No hands up?
so for now, anyone online want to speak about the budget?
So the budget is just kind of a guideline of what we are thinking we're gonna expend next year. But like council said, things happen, life isn't perfect, right? And sometimes these things break and we may need to move money from here to pay for that. And, at the end of the day, this board, I think, we're pretty much committed to saving our association as much money as we can. So far, for the most of the months that we've been here, we're always in the positive. We don't overspend within our budget for the most part. There's certain things we don't have control over, but we're good custodians of our finances and we're trying to get as much as we can for what we're paying.
And also, all the financials are in this app, so you can look at every financial, they're there, for all of you to see.
Or front steps. All right. Anybody, should we motion then to approve the budget or?
Let me see what they're doing over there. Are we good over there?
Hold on, one second.
Oh.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah, Chris.
You guys make a motion.
Motion to approve the budget.
Are you making it?
Make a motion to approve the budget. Marquez special assessment approved. Option 1.
And then just say the single family.
Yes, for 160 for single families and 362 and 54 for townhomes.
I second the motion.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Scott? No one opposes? Motion carries unanimously.
Contracts.
Are they in here? Do we bring them? Did we bring the contracts for landscaping? So can we get can I get a copy just so I can read out some information here? That's what we knew about. Yeah. So just so we're all on the same page, we're gonna keep the same landscaping company. I think that's what the board has kind of discussed unofficially and for the reasons that we just said. However, we're trying to hold everybody accountable and, we're certain that the irrigation hasn't been done according to what we're paying. And, it's a big number, it was close to $4,000 a month that we're paying for just irrigation. So we had to do something about that. Thanks. So, let's see here.
Yeah, this is.
So I had a lawyer draw up a contract, and most importantly, we want to have that 30-day cancellation clause because we want to hold the vendor accountable. So I have a contract here dated today that it is between JL Sprinklers LLC and the association. Basically, they separated the work here. So this one is the one, okay, yeah. So we're gonna pay $900 a month for the townhomes to get inspected, and that already includes the up to $250 repairs. So unless there's a repair over $250, we wouldn't pay anything extra for that month. And then the other part of the contract with single family homes, we're gonna pay $3,300 every 3 months, every quarter. So we're not gonna do single family homes every month because of the expense and because a lot of people are not really benefiting from it. So we'll try to quarterly, and I'm gonna have a landscaping committee look into what Mr. Baker brought up. And I think if that's a service we can get from Total, I don't think there's anybody that can do it better. we can transfer that service over if that's the situation. So those are the biggies here. Anything else, council, that I need to say important about this contract?
The only comment that was made came to Wit about changing the notice requirement to require certified mail instead of just doing it by email. I mean, I like email because it's immediate and you still get a timestamp, but if you guys prefer to have something a little more concrete than that, with a certified letter for like terminations and stuff, I can put that in there.
We do all three, no matter what.
Yeah.
I do regular mail, certified, and email, so that way there's no ifs,
I mean,
ands, or buts.
that's true. I mean, even if the contract doesn't specifically require it, we're doing it anyway.
That's fine. I don't think that should be an issue to have to change that. That's
I mean,
fine.
I still have the 30-day out and everything in there, so that part's fine. But I don't know if anybody else has any comments or concerns about it. Has the vendor looked at it yet?
He signed it.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess so. All right, well, if you guys are good with it, then
Anybody want to see it?
Where's the other contract?
This is the engagement for the county.
And the landscape.
This was already approved, though, right? This engagement? This engagement was already voted on. The engagement with the accountant, this was already voted on, right?
I don't have that in the minutes.
I didn't know, I think I have to sign it, but I think that we voted on it, I want to say June or July.
You have to go back.
And do we have the other
Take out the
contract?
minutes, let me see what I did.
Do we have the other contract or not?
Did Blade Runner send their contract?
They did send us the revamped contract, and the numbers came out to $26,550 a month. And then the grand total was $319,800. You want me to provide you the contract for that as well?
You said 26,000 and something, and then what was the other number?
$319,800 for the grand total.
That's the grand total with the mulch and everything, right?
Correct.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
I thought you
But
might
that's
hold it
not-
on for the next meeting. I don't know if you want to.
No, they're not doing irrigation no more.
You wanted to do that today too? Okay, I don't have that.
We're at it, 300.
Because I know that you guys said you wanted to do that for next meeting, so I don't have that printed.
Let's just vote on it because,
We can just bring it
You
to
know,
sign, as long as you
I can bring it to sign.
exact
yeah,
numbers.
I'll sign it later, but yeah, we could just vote on it. If you guys are okay with that, I mean, you guys tell me.
And just make sure council the 30 days, that is on it, the 30 days, cancellation. So you say the amount again, just in case?
Okay?
Hold on, before we move forward, are you guys gonna do the jail sprinklers, the motion for that?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
No, so Corey's.
Corey's reading.
done it.
when
Okay.
he's done, we'll do the motion.
So the total is $319,800 for Blade Runners without the irrigation. And then for monthly, it is $26,550. I know.
Yeah, but that doesn't include the most.
No? The 319?
Did you look at it? You should've seen it.
Because we told him that the mulch is always separate, if you want to do it or not.
Thanks for letting me know.
Pero aquí dice 301. Oh, so he's including just, okay, correction. Do it. When I look at these numbers, the number you're giving me does not include the mulch. And it does not include,
Yeah, because remember, the mulch, we told them that it's separate, but if we want to.
yeah, so the mulch is a different line item. You should have another line item there. Because it's 301,440 for the landscaping basic contract. And then the fertilization is 18,000. So that gives you the 319. But the mulch is separate. So there should be another number there for mulch. So usually about 26, 27,000.
26. Let me go back to the 26.
So by show of hands, everybody in here, who wants mulch every year? Nobody wants mulch every year.
May I?
Yes, ma'am.
And just moved in. In Ohio, we pay for our own mulch. I don't know, is that a part of the?
So, yeah, so as I explained when I talked to you the first time is that, we just took over this association about just over a year ago. But historically, the developer started providing these services in order to sell his houses, and it's just been continued. and it's never changed. But you're right, most communities don't cover that. But since we're new, we're continuing what has already been set up, but we're learning as we go along. And, you know, by the show of hands here today, it's 27,000 a year that I think we're throwing it out to. It looks like a lot of people don't want it. I don't like it because it makes a mess. Yeah, so maybe something. What's that? We haven't gotten that far. I don't know. That's a good question.
But that's something that we're gonna plan to do a survey to make sure how many people want that versus the no, like what we did with the spatial assessment, because we need to follow the majority, you know, because if the majority decides, yes, I wanna keep the mulch.
Yeah, it's an addition, so you can either go through that, you can hire.
I think she got another question.
Oh. You have another question?
So they choose the type of mulch that is put down and the color?
Well, the board does. The board chooses that. Yeah, and it's usually the same every year. It's the wood shards that are red. By this time of the year, they look terrible, but you know, they've been historically they've been placed just before Christmas. I think that's a bad idea because it is, you know, winter, right? And so I don't know. We'll see what the board decides in a future meeting. We'll tackle that issue. But in my personal opinion, I think it should be laid down in January, February, when you're entering the spring, so it can look good while the weather's nice, you know. But
Mario, you're trying to approve that now, the mulch expense?
well, I want to approve the whole contract.
That's on a
But
summary,
the mulch is an
it's
add-on,
not
it's not
included in
part of
this.
It's not in the contract.
No, because it's like I told you, we told him that it's gonna be separate. We gotta decide if we're gonna use him or another company.
Oh, I didn't know that.
My point was, if you guys are gonna poll everybody, you have time to do that, you don't have to decide that right this second.
All right, so we're making a motion then to approve. Yes, sir.
It's probably better off be put in, if we're gonna put it in, after the rains. Late October, Thanksgiving.
That's what they do now.
Put it in the first of June, the first monsoon season, you know, the first week, the rains just decimated. Because none of the houses have gutters. A lot of water just washes right down into the flower beds.
I have gutters and it still washes out.
My mulch ends up out in the gutter every year. Starting in the bottom.
But we'll take that note, we'll poll the entire community and we'll see. If people don't want it, we get rid of it.
Getting back to total water, they sent out a notice. I got it in the mail, I think.
Yes.
Just a week or two ago.
Email and mail, both.
Email?
Yes. And I said that I posted on Facebook as well.
Contracted with a third-party company to control, to make sure
Right.
we're watering on the right days,
Correct.
at the right times, etc.
We did this one.
And they also noted in that flyer that it's Florida law requires that all irrigation systems have a rain sensor,
Yep.
operational rain sensor.
Correct.
So I'm wondering, rather than having them inspect the controller and the timer, that Total will do for free, if we could have our irrigation company clean those little rain sensors.
And they put the new sponges and stuff.
Yeah, if they get gobbled up with dirt and stuff, they need to be cleaned out once or twice a year and check to make sure they're working right.
Correct.
So that you're not watering your yard when it just rained 3 inches.
Correct.
Yeah, mine's off now. All right, guys. Thank you. Anybody else? We're done with that?
Can you tell me the total amount for the playground in Santa, for again?
Yeah, without the mulch, we just
398.
pull up the exact contract, make sure that you're able to see it. We know exactly what it says. It says 319,000.
19.
Yes,
Okay.
yearly. And this is
And
20
800.
months a year. This is without the mulch. Tree trimming once a year is included.
The hedges, right?
Yes, so that's going to be included. It says 351 homes, 65 homes, and it breaks it down.
Correct.
Yeah.
And fertilization 6 times a year.
Correct.
Yeah, so we got irrigation, no, irrigation inspections are not included. Exactly. Horticulture services, landscape maintenance, tree trimming,
Sorry.
pump
Can we make a motion for the sprinkler contract first? You're good with it, Corey? Anything you want to say?
Yeah.
Looks good.
So I make,
Yeah.
So, motion to approve?
I mean,
Jose Sanchez makes motion to approve JL sprinklers, seconded by
I second the motion.
Herman Perez. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Passes unanimously.
Maria, just a question about the roof. Is that CBD as well, or is that HOA?
Which roof?
Painting of the roof, the tile roof?
For the townhomes?
For the community, is that an HOA?
Yeah, HOA, yes.
Okay, so whatever happened with that, because half of the people didn't clean their roofs, and I know that there was a letter sent out that some assessment or lien would be imposed, and some people were adamant about it and didn't clean it at all. We see that throughout the community. Whatever happens to that?
They are going to compliance.
Yeah.
Going to compliance, and then once it gets to the specific letter, which almost all of them are close to it right now, some of them have already passed that, they're gonna be fined with the specific finding, and that's in the process as well.
Okay, and what about the houses that need or should be painted? I mean,
That
your
also.
personal opinion, but there are some houses that the paint is chipping away or that they're not even the original color anymore. What happens to that?
That's all violations, that's part of violations.
All violations currently go through a process at the moment. Once it gets to the last stage, it has to come to a board meeting, so we can submit it to a hearing committee. The hearing committee can decide, yes, are we gonna fine? No, we're not gonna fine. That is where that ends right there. And if we fine, then the fine will be sent, a letter will be sent to the homeowner stating that they have so time frame to pay for the specific fine, and then we go from there.
I mean, it just seems like a lot of homes have been like that for years. And we drive by the same homes on the major road, wherever that big street is called, it just seems the same. I've been here now almost 5. I haven't seen anything. That's any different.
I can't speak for anybody before us, shall I say, or before the board. However, this board is very adamant about it, and we are pushing for these violations and notifications for these issues to be cured on a timely basis. So yes, it does take time, and I get it. Paint doesn't cost $25. It does cost a lot. So we are willing to work with the homeowners. I'm sure the board members are willing to work with the homeowners as long as they're responding and are in compliance, We get it. It's not going to be an easy task. It takes money, it takes time. So yes, we are enforcing as per the documents of the association, as per the board as well. So they are pushing that forward.
I have 2 more questions. The reason why I came to the meeting is not only to look at this, but to know whether I can afford to rent my house next year when I move out, based on assessments and fees or so, or if I'm going to just flat out sell. So my second question is, what happens with my property, for instance? I had a major, the landscaping company, not to I think it's closed out, and I had this gush of water going out for hours, for hours, so they couldn't figure out how to turn it off. I never addressed anyone, I never emailed anyone, I don't feel like applying from the water company, but it ruins my landscaping and my grass, and they promised to fix it, and they promised to paint it, and that never happens.
Yeah, that was like 2 years ago with Brightview. I went to her house and she emailed me.
But I do have an issue where the side of my home doesn't need painting right now, but I am gonna sell my home, or I may put it up on the market for rent. The side of my home is eaten away by the landscapers. It looks like a blade went right through the middle of my house on both sides. Who repairs that? Who fixes that?
They need to send a complaint, yeah.
Yeah, I could, if you like, when I give you my card information, you can just send me an email exactly what you need, and I'll forward that to Juan, who is the foreman for Blade Runners, and he'll take care of that.
Awesome, thank you. One last question. Mailboxes, is that an HOA or a C
For the houses,
Yeah, for the houses.
technically it's a homeowner issue, okay, but there's a lot of bad mailboxes, so the board is
That's
still.
not my issue. My issue is we have that red line around the cul-de-sac, and we're having a lot of issues with parking. But I have a mailbox, not mine, it's my neighbor's, and my neighbor and I were discussing. He has a little easement between the houses next to him. Mine is shared with my left neighbor, but if we just put that mailbox in between the 2 properties, we have 2 parking spaces in front of my home.
Yeah.
For him and for myself.
So that's something you can discuss with your neighbor and
When
put
we
it,
do that on our own, do we have to go through HOA, CBD?
you have to put in an ARC request for the change.
Okay,
But yeah, it's something the homeowners can do.
and we pay for that? to have a pull over.
I would suggest that if you're doing it, it would be a joint application with your neighbor.
Thank you.
That way that doesn't become an issue.
Do they need to submit anything to the county as a permit since it is in the easement section?
Oh, no, not easement, I'm just saying that a little piece of grass between the other houses and the other neighbor doesn't mind either, but that gives us two parties, we already have one.
No, I agree.
Well, what is it, is it easement before, between the sidewalk and the street? The grass?
It's on the right of way.
It's correct, it's an easement, it's a little triangle.
Okay.
The other neighbor has it on his little triangle, we figured, well, why not pair them together? This is an Airbnb house next to mine. And so we figured either move it over there, because he doesn't have room for his Airbnb gas, and I don't have room for my gas. And I park my two cars this time I go. But on the weekends, I have 6 cars in my home.
So just paint.
What I'm talking about is I have people that come by and listen, and I don't park down the street, we have an issue with people who don't live, and I know the street is full of parking, but we have a lot of people that live down the street, and they park on our cul-de-sac, we don't have parking.
So I don't know that the association cares, but whoever it is that owns that easement has the right to access it. And by the way, this is true no matter what is put into it, whether it's a tree or a mailbox or whatever. If they need to get to whatever utility line or whatever it is that's underneath there, they're just gonna rip it out and do it.
And when I say easement, I just mean the little piece of grass in between the lines.
And that's fine, but so, I mean, aesthetically, I don't know that these guys are gonna care if you guys go to your mailbox. Just understand anything in an easement is subject to being approved.
We already said that.
We did
I'll
this.
tell the survey.
There is a utility association thing where you can contact them and say, I need to know where all of the piping and utility lines are.
811.
You get that done and find out if there's anything in that.
You dial 811 from any phone and you get them.
Also, that information is on the BSO website, it's on the bottom of the useful information, it's in all the utility companies and all that is there at the 811. And also to submit any complaint about landscaping, about townhomes, work order, anything is on the BSO, HOA.com. On their help area is all the work orders in there, where you got a complaint with the landscaping, put it there, because that's a record. We keep a record of every submission of everybody, so we can then have the contractor accountable for everything that's going on.
And that's important because that complaint leaves a timestamp and knows that you did the report, and it goes directly to the landscaper. And we're tracking how much time he takes to respond, to resolve. All that stuff is important to us because we want to make sure that you're getting good service. And you know, anything you see, even if it's not your lot, though, anything you see that is landscaping needs to address, you can report it. It doesn't have to be just your lot. It could be your neighbor's lot. Hey, this guy's grass is dead. What you guys doing about this? Because landscaping committee can only be in certain places at one time, and sometimes, so the process should be that you report it, the landscaper tries to address it. If it doesn't get addressed, then you can send me an email, send any of these guys an email, and then we'll get the landscaping committee involved. And, you know, there's been several owners here who have brought complaints that are not being resolved. And at the next landscaping committee meeting, the landscaping committee goes to that house with the landscaper and be like, what's going on? What can we do? You know, and sometimes, believe it or not, the issue is not the landscaper. Sometimes the owner that doesn't understand what services are allowed, or, you know, so but it helps everybody get educated, and it creates a process that, you know, before, I remember it, people used to say, well, I called this person and I reported it to this person, but there was no accountability. So if you start that process through the help menu, there'll be timestamps. If you reported it twice, it'll be there, boom, boom. It's reported at this day and time. And then we have something more concrete to bring up to the landscape.
And you can submit photos as well in there.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So this we don't need to approve.
You do.
You do,
I looked
okay.
at all the meeting minutes
All right.
that are in this area.
Let's make a motion that, so we have this March and McMullen CPAs. This is our engagement to do our taxes for this year. I believe we picked this, we probably voted on the vendor.
Yeah.
We probably voted on the vendor. And basically, I think this is what, like, how much is it? Like,
I think it was 20 something, I think.
$2,800, okay? So that's to do the taxes for the association for this year. Anybody want to read this contract? Anybody want to scrutinize it, talk about it? All right, then we need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the,
I'll say.
Marcelo makes a motion, seconded by Jose. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right, unanimous. All right. So make a motion to approve the landscaping, or we'll leave it for next meeting? What do you guys want to do?
It's already there, right?
Let's go to the next meeting so we can take a look at the mulch thing.
Up to everybody here.
So
In the mulch, you can do separately if you're.
now the mulch, like I said before, we
It's not
the
included in
board
the
decided
contract.
to do it separate, because we can decide to go with him.
This is just for the basic landscaping, fertilization, and tree work.
Okay? Then we can.
Now, I got a question. Aren't we gonna research the total resurface of the irrigation inspection?
Sure, but that has
It's
not,
not-
yeah, we have to work out the logistics, and like I said, if we can do it with Toho, it's a 30-day cancellation clause with JO sprinklers anyway, so that would be fine.
Let's move on.
All right, somebody wants to make a motion to approve Blade Runner's contract for next year?
Yeah, making all the motions, might as well do this one too.
Go for it. So you're making a motion to approve Blade Runner's contract for this year for basic landscaping service at $319,800, right? That's what we got?
Yes, sir. One on that.
Anybody second that motion?
Second the motion.
Seconded by Herman. All in favor, say aye.
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 Unopposed, motion carries. All right, is that all the business we got for today?
Any public?
All right, any public comments? Now you can talk about anything you want. It has nothing to do with the agenda. Homeowners, board members?
I have something, but it's CBD, I would suggest.
Yeah. All right, motion to adjourn this meeting then? There's no hands up there, right?
Time now is 8:23.
I second the motion.
And then second, Jose, motion.
All right, all in favor? Oh, meeting
Aye.
adjourned.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all for coming, appreciate it.
And it's so that the garbage trucks and all the service cars can come through. What about if in the weekend we can make an exception and we can park there, but we have to be moved by Monday, 7 a.m.? You know what I mean? And it's just Saturday, Sunday, so we have company over, like my friend Anna, who has like 40, 50 people at her house, she's gonna have to be parked every day for her mother, the 88th birthday party. On the weekend, she has like 10 cars there. But Monday morning, 7 a.m., they have to come.
Yeah, we did that because it was a lot of groups. I think we can agree something that we were talking that we can do it because that's okay. That's all right. Because if we can call and he can
Strong work, boss.
You know what I'm saying? But
I know I'm right in part of the
beginning.
Right now, they have it for the first week of October.
Yes, but I gave you the rules. I have to find out where it's going.
I want to try to get it sooner, because I know it's getting into the minutes, and I'll.
What I said,
It's already been approved by the board.
I spoke with other neighbors and they are nervous. And here, you know, they are here.
we can feel better.
Much better, man.
Pressure's off.
I want to get it off this day.
I made it under the wire. Next month, I believe. Next month is the end of the election. Actually, you call it. It should have been. I didn't go out. Ignored it. That was out because we knew the first budget.
We're getting.